Yes. Today we are going to talk about Docker files, and I think it would be our last session with HolyDocker. We talked about containers, how to work with command line. Talked about networks, storage, and the whole concept of Docker itself. What we didn't talk about is Docker Compose, up and down, and
Docker system prune.
Docker system prune, yeah, those options in Docker commands, yes. But the the major one is just Docker Compose, which to my mind is not that much important because it's just simple directives that you can use, search on the internet, and you can find it. The whole thing is about the storage, network, the container itself. In Docker Compose, you get all those options together in one file, and it's not that much really important. But yeah, if you had any question, you can ask anytime.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Dockerfile.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Before we start.
Here it comes.
If you run a container, okay, you can then exec the container and attach to it.
Yeah.
Okay. If you make a change in your files in there, you can exit the container and then you can Docker commit it.
Yes.
Okay. If you have only one container running, I assume that it knows where it is going to commit the changes. So what I mean by that, you don't need to specify the name of the container. Have you checked that or not?
No.
No. Okay. Good. We can check it then another time together. And I show you what I mean.
You mean without, you have only one container?
Mm-hmm.
You want to commit it without naming it or?
Yes, without naming the container. You should like name the image name on which you want like to commit the changes, but you do not need to specify the name of the container.
Yes. Is it necessary to do that?
What do you mean?
You don't name it.
No, it's not necessary, but you can do that.
Yeah. And what is the point?
The point, what do you mean?
What do you want to achieve by don't point the name without naming it?
Yes, basically I don't like, it's not what I want to achieve, but I don't know how it knows from where to get the changes that we commit. So since we do not name the name of the container, it still knows, Docker still knows from which container to fetch the changes and to commit to the image.
Something like this, Docker Nginx. Okay. And we want to commit this container.
Yes.
Okay. Docker commit. What is the name of it? Yes. This is the container name. And something is the image that I want to sort somehow.
Yes. So. But now you see that you have multiple containers running.
Yes.
If you have only one container, what you can do is Docker commit something
without
the name of the container.
You want to know how
it's done. Yes. Is it because we just have one container and it looks?
Perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah, perhaps. I really don't know, but perhaps this is the reason. But Norvin, please, after this session, he can really explain.
Yes, Simos, we will pick it one on one. I don't want you to spend too much time on it. It's more high level, so that's more my level. But Hussein, you can take it from here.
Okay, no,
Thank you. Okay, Dockerfile. Why we need Dockerfile? Because we want our own images. We don't want to just use a default image. We want to have our own files and our configuration in one image. And yes, and we don't want to do this commit things every time because it's difficult, it's not efficient, and you can't do that easily on CI/CD work. So we use Dockerfile. Actually, we use images which come from Dockerfile. So the Dockerfile is started with a capital D. This is important because this is the default name which Docker look into it. Usually we start with from. Yes. Yes.
question. I think I have seen Docker files not named as Docker
Yes.
files.
Yes.
Yes.
Then in the build, when you say Docker build, you should specify
The name of
The
the
name
file.
of the file.
Okay.
So if you want in one directory multiple Docker files, well, you cannot have multiple named Docker files specifically, but then you can have different names.
Yep.
But you have to specify it with the build command.
Yes, exactly. So we have from, which we specify the base image. It could be Nginx, it could be Debian, or any other images which exist in Docker Hub or in our registry or everywhere. Actually, with this from, we say we want to use this Nginx to do some jobs in it. We want to copy some files, we want to change some configuration. Before from, we can use one directive. Do you know what is it? Because we know we can't use run, we can use copy, we can use add or those stuff, CMD entry point before from, because those stuff has have effects on the base image. So before from, you can't use it. But there is one directive that you can use it before from, and it's arg. It's argument. And the reason is sometimes we use arg to just specify the version of the base image. So in this situation, when you want to do Docker build, blah, 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 you can give it the version of the base image. And it's not needed to be hard-coded in the Dockerfile. So it could be a really good point from CI/CD. For example, here, not here. Here, I have add version 11, and I can use here version instead of using 11, and then in the Docker build, I just simply say Docker build build arg and version equals 11 something. Which we usually
So then through the command, you can change the version in the image by changing the value of the variable.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
If it is argument. So this is one point. But here from, I would say Nginx with some
But
tag.
let me ask you this: is that a good practice?
Yes.
Especially for Docker Compose files, because then you can change your arguments in the Dockerfile, right? or no?
I mean,
Docker.
to me, an example would be, say, we have a big company which has a lot of Java applications, and all of the builds are managed by the CI/CD team.
Mhm.
Say every application needs to run on this specific version of Java, so on Java 17, and you can change it. But if you have one application that doesn't accept it, you can change it with one of these build arguments, where you can say, okay, we want to build with Java 11 in this
But
case.
on the other case, if you have like an arg, if you state the version with arg, let's say you run it with a newer version.
Mhm.
Okay, when you run the Docker build command, you pass the new version, but then it could be the case
That it doesn't support the new version.
no, that you forget to change the arg in the Dockerfile.
You don't need to change arg in the Dockerfile.
What do you mean?
I mean, in the Dockerfile, you just have arg version.
Just have arg version. Okay, so you just have arg version, and then every time then you need to pass the versions through.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, we have, for example, Nginx with the tag, and you can specify a name for it, for example, as builder, and later you can call it to copy any file, any command in it from it to another image. But just for now, we have from, which is our base image. We have run to execute any command inside this image when you are building the image. So during the building your image, it will be executed. For example, APK or LS or anything, depending on the base image. Yes. You can specify user with which user you want to execute following commands. You can specify any label to your Docker image. You can expose ports in your Docker file. So one question here. What does expose do here?
Opens only the ports window.
Only a port. Okay. So other opinions?
So in my opinion, or what I think happens is it exposes port 8080 and 3306. And then when you use Docker run, you can also say, I want to bind this port to my machine itself. And then you can specify another port where it binds to locally.
So
This is the thing that I said. It opens the port for you. You can have it, and then after that you can map it. You can map it.
even without specifying
Of course, you can say
either
that.
on
Yeah, you can say that expose AT-AT, but my database was 3306 to 3307.
yeah,
Who cares?
yeah, okay. So it's not. No. It's the problem that every people who work with Docker have. Just to show you, if I expose 8080,
Right.
yeah, and I build it with a name UU. Not the version. We don't have version on it. Let's just use the latest. Okay, I run UU.
Yeah. Port AT-AT should be open.
Should be open. Docker PS, but it's not. Let's see. The inspect of the container or the image. Inspect image. So we said with inspect, you can see what are the exposed ports. Okay. You see here it is 80, 80, and also 80.
Right.
This 80 comes from the base image, and this 8080 is what we said in the Dockerfile. But if you map 8080 to 8080, do you get anything? You won't get it, because in the Dockerfile, expose just say it's imagine it's like a label to say we have 8080, we should expose 8080, but you should expose it in the command line
So,
with docker run dash p
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
so you always have to do both. If it's only in the command line, it doesn't work. If it's only the expose, it doesn't
No,
work.
no,
You have to do both.
No. If you don't specify it in Dockerfile, it doesn't matter. But the person who want to execute this image, he doesn't know which ports should be exposed.
Okay, so it's basically more a documentation.
Yes.
So it does
Security,
nothing.
for the security.
It doesn't do anything.
So you don't need a README file. You can just put exposed, let everyone know that this port is exposed.
Yes. We
Ah.
just simply do that with expose 8080 or expose 81 or anything. Because
It's a comment and it does nothing.
yeah,
Funny.
actually this just provide the information for this one who want to execute the image, run the image. Yes, this is a tricky question. I didn't expect anyone to know it, but yes.
The website also says it functions as documentation.
So we have env, which we can specify any environment, define any environment in the container, and then we have a copy and add. What is the difference between copy and add?
Copy, you can copy from container to container.
No, in the Dockerfile. The copy you said is in the command line, Docker CP from container to container. What's in the
Add is
Dockerfile?
add is just for when the Docker image is built, and copy is literally copying it into the container itself to be used when you run it, right? Is this the difference between
No.
those two? Damn it.
Anyone?
The other way around.
Yeah, no. Okay, just copy from your local system to the container. Do the same, but with two differences. You can use URL with add. You can specify a file in the URL. It will get the file from the URL and just copy it somewhere. Another thing is you can specify the TGZ extension or tar.gz or .tar archive file, and it will extract the archive into the destination. These two differences exist.
Does this also do it when you just specify a file locally? Just a file.
You said that with add, we can add stuff from URLs.
Yeah.
But from what types, in most of the time, what people do, they first curl something from a URL and then they copy it.
Yeah.
But we can skip them this.
Depending on what is the URL, and yes, if you can do this with add.
Also, you can literally add a REST URL of a file, and then it first downloads it and then has it in the file. Huh.
let's say that I want to download something from GitLab.
Mhm.
Instead of me first doing a curl, giving the URL and downloading it.
Yeah, if it's public and
Let's
doesn't
say,
need
let's say
any-
that it is public and we don't need like logins and
Yeah.
stuff like this. I can just directly use that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do that. We have enough time, or at the end of session we can do that.
Mhm.
But yes. Volume. You can specify volume. Oh, let's say this. You know what this means. Copy from the first dot to the second dot. The second dot is our destination in container, which in this case is the working directory of our base image. It depends what is the working directory of your base image. So for example, you can also see it here in the inspect of your image, Nginx image. There should be somewhere.
You can also set the working directory, right?
Yes.
Here.
One more thing, when you use add in a Dockerfile, you can also link a GitHub repository or any Git repository, and it will also download it for you.
The whole repository.
Yes.
Nice.
Good point. Yes. Thank you.
That's interesting.
Too bad you cannot use them anymore.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes, we have volume. You can
Second
specify
question, copy
But
or add dots
wait.
just copies all files into the,
all files from current directory
Yeah.
and to the
including the.
I have a question.
yes.
You said that we add from the local, from the current directory to the work directory. Okay. But you said that when we, let me think a bit what I want to say. So if we do not specify the working directory,
Mhm.
how do we know which working directory
The working directory of your base image.
of the base image? So if the
Yes.
base image is nginx, then it has a base directory.
Every containers have
Mhm.
their
Okay.
working directory.
But if we then have the command work dir, can we change the work directory if we specify another directory?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
For example, in Nginx, if I go into it, it's on the slash. So the
Mhm.
working directory is a slash.
Okay.
And if you see here, the working dir is nothing. So it's
No.
it's a slash.
That would, yeah.
And it's something. Let me just see here if I no. Yeah, but if you want to be sure, you just run the image and see what is the working directory.
Mhm.
But you can specify here work directory slash user, and this means it's actually cd into a slash user.
Mhm.
So again, you can specify copy dot dot, but in this case, the destination would be a slash user.
Yeah. And
Because you are in
most of the time,
user.
what I have seen is like most people create a new directory
Yeah.
and add everything there.
Mhm.
If you create a new directory, you know you're not messing up anything
Yeah.
related to
So most of the
the
time
base image or whatever.
They do something like work dir up or something like this, and they put everything there.
Yes. And volume, you can specify which path should have its own volume. For example, I want to copy some file to a specified volume, but and my files are in /temp. For example, I have some files in /temp, and I can specify a volume for /temp. If I build this Docker file and if I run it, and if I don't specify any volume, an anonymous volume will be created and will be assigned to a /temp. And it could be good depends on the usage. For example, sometimes, as we said before, you can specify directly like devices to your container. You can just assign a plug device a partition directly to your container without mounting in the host first and then use it. And with this feature, you can use those large device and using the performance feature or any specific file system options in this volume or in this directory.
I'm a bit confused with this. So this is not a volume mapping that you map something outside of the container from your local system to a directory inside the container. No.
Let's see.
So what do we achieve really with this volume? So why do we need a volume if we do not want to map something from a local device or server? Or a server, not local server, from a local device or a server inside the container.
Why we need it?
Why we need this
The volume.
if it's not doing what I just said?
It's just a separate volume from all other.
Okay, so we just define a separate volume inside the container
Yes.
from all other stuff that are
Yes.
inside the container. Okay, good. So then, let me think. We could use a volume mapping in order to add stuff to this newly created volume with a mapping.
With that?
With a mapping.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
You can also do that.
Okay.
Just pull the volumes and clean everything.
Docker volume prune.
See? We
Yes.
used it.
See?
Like a build.
You need to prune as well.
You should all prune. On everyone. Docker run. Okay.
No, when did you Docker prunes the last time?
One more time? Sorry, the bad connection. I cannot
When
hear
did
you.
you-
Bad
when did-
connection, sorry.
When did you prune your volumes the last time?
I don't hear you. Can you repeat it one more time? I have very bad connection. I'm so sorry.
I will write it to you.
I'm sure he just did it right now.
Oh, you really should have pruned something.
Okay. Hussein,
Yes.
if you go back to the image, we say volume root TMP. But I would imagine that the nginx image comes with a TMP directory, right? Or not?
Yes.
So are we going to create two TMP directories?
No, you can't create two TMP directory, but you assign the TMP to this volume.
We assign the TMP that already exists within the image. To which
we will do that after this.
Okay.
Okay, just let me do something to see the effect. If it's present. Yes. Here,
Question before we continue. Why did you do just a bus and not a bin bus?
sorry.
What is the difference between doing docker exec, the name of the container /bin/bus,
Yes.
and doing just bus?
The difference is with the
Nilsia two.
with the /bin/bash, you are using absolute path
You are using absolute path.
of bash.
Okay.
Okay. Which means you know the bash is in /bin, but when you use bash, you don't know the absolute.
Okay.
So if it doesn't exist in path, in path environment, it cannot be executed.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
with just bash, you use the path,
Mhm.
but with /bin/bash,
Use the absolute
you
one.
just have used the exact file.
Okay.
So I ran the image, as you can see, I ran UU image, and here I created a file in temp, and we know the temp was the volume in our Docker file. It was assigned to a volume, and here a volume created, and it's created here. The mount point is here in our host in our OS, and if I see the directory, I will see my file is here. So if you use the Dockerfile and you specify volume, it will create actually a volume.
Can you please go back to the screen before? So now this TMP, let me check a bit something. Is this TMP inside the user?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go now
Here.
back,
I created the /TMP. This is the TMP.
Okay, and this is created through the volume command.
Yeah.
If you go back when we build the image to the Docker file, so if we remove the work dir, since the work dir is going to be root, you do volume TMP, it will break because TMP should exist.
No, actually, work dir doesn't really. It doesn't matter what is your working directory, because it matters when you run a command. For example, mkdir temp. Okay. But when you are using the Dockerfile directives, it doesn't matter what is the working dir. But if you are working inside a container, it matters. So if I change the work directory to /,
Yes.
and I run mkdir tmp, so it's a conflict because the tmp is already exists. Okay. But at the same time, I can specify volume /temp. To be more clear, I will delete those lines and just specify a slash on our Docker file.
Okay.
I will stop this. And I again build our image. And I run it again. So what you will see here is, let me just check if it is from WSL or not, which is not okay. So let me run it again. So you run this image, and let's inspect image, inspect the UU. The volumes is a slash. The slash itself, and yes. So what is set here? Some errors that cannot start container or anything. What is the point? Because it's wanted to create a volume and mount it to the slash, but slash containing the file system itself. So if you mount any volume to any directory, it will be empty because it's a new mount point. and it's a new volume, so it would be empty. So you have a empty slash, and you want to execute it, you want to run it. So there isn't anything that would be executed. It's empty because your volume is empty.
Can you go back to the Docker image, please? Okay. So if you do now a volume TMP,
Volume slash TMP.
yes,
Yes.
and we rebuild the image. Okay, can you exec the container?
Yes. It will be executed because there isn't any special thing in slash TMP.
Wait, but are you now inside the container?
No.
Okay, can you ls it?
Yes. Slash TMP.
No, I just want to you to ls the root.
LS the root.
Yes.
Okay.
It just has all the default Alpine stuff.
Exactly. So now we have a directory that it's called TMP.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you usually already have this?
this comes per default. Yes. Okay.
See.
Where is the volume?
See.
Wait a bit.
It has a new mount point. Slash dev slash SDC.
Just mounted as an external device.
Yeah. Slash
Okay.
TMP. It's a different volume.
A different volume. Okay.
So if your mount point is a slash, so you can't do anything. You can't run your container because there isn't any bean, dev, lib, or anything executed.
You cannot run Linux if you mount it to Dash because Linux needs some stuff there.
Unless you have something in your volume before you mount it. For example, you have a, but it's no, let's don't go there.
Okay.
It's sensitive.
It's really complicated. Can be really complicated. But yes, this is the volume, and you can specify. You can create volume, and then when you want to, okay, you have a slash temp volume here in your Dockerfile, okay, and you can also create a volume with Docker command, Docker volume create anything, and then with run, when you want to run it, you can also specify -v if you remember to to just mount
To mount the volume.
volume
Yes.
to somewhere. You can mount the volume you created into a slash TMP. Okay. But if you don't do that, Docker would do it itself. We didn't do that, but we had this volume because Docker did it by itself. And it created these volumes. Did we create volumes? No, we didn't create volumes. But because this volume directive was exist in the Dockerfile, Docker realized, okay, I need a volume, and in the Docker run, no volume is specified, so I should create a volume for myself. Yeah, just this. That's it for volume. And
Wait a bit. One last question.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard for me to differentiate the volumes. What do we achieve with that? By doing that, what can we achieve? What I mean by that is, let's say if we do not specify here a volume, okay, and it's easier for me to explain to you from a Docker Compose point of view. So in the Docker Compose, you have your n variables, and you say, let's say, local directory, and you map it to a directory inside the container. Can you do that if the image doesn't have a volume? If the image doesn't have this volume here,
yeah,
you can do it.
Yes, mapping directory, yes.
Mapping directory. Okay, so this volume here is something completely different.
You can also do that when you have volume/tmp. It really doesn't matter.
Okay.
The when you have this volume/tmp,
Mhm.
anything you store in under/tmp will be stored in the volume.
Yes.
Okay. So does it matter if the files store in a separate volume or in the whole container?
Mhm.
Does it matter? No, it really doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Mhm.
So from this point of view, from the mapping point of view, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But sometimes it matters because you want to have separate volume for your container, and you want to map it later
Mhm.
with other containers, or even you want to have just a clean directory, or you don't want to delete your data in this volume,
Mhm.
because when you create a container, if you don't specify any volume, you might lose your container and all the data in it.
Mhm.
But if you lose your data and you have the volume, every files under the temp would be
Mhm.
exist in the volume. So if you again,
Okay, wait here. Every file will exist into TMP
Yeah.
inside the volume. But this volume is not mapped somewhere in your local device.
yes,
Is it?
yes,
So
This is the volume.
When you say volume TMP,
this is the volume. For Docker volume ls, one of those is the actual volume.
okay, where is this volume in your local system?
It depends. Let me just prune
If you don't specify it, it just creates it in some directory. I think
Okay.
something like .share.
Okay, so basically,
volumes.
okay, wait a bit. So basically, this is again a mapping, but you do not specify your local directory. So if you say volume/tmp and whatever you place inside the container under the /tmp is going also to be found somewhere in your local machine,
Yeah.
it is a normal mapping.
Yes.
But you do not specify your local directory in this way.
Mhm.
So you don't really know where it's going to be.
You know.
We know
Yeah.
where is it?
We can figure it out. I think, for example, if you want to store it in a Git repository and you want it to be consistently at one spot, you have to specify
You
where
can
you want it.
simply inspect the volume,
Mhm.
Docker volume inspect,
Okay.
and you will see the mount point here.
Lib Docker volumes. Okay. Okay. Good.
It's in your system.
Okay. Which means
And
that
if you go there, you might see your
okay.
files.
But this means that if we go back to the Docker image and we do a volume,
See, this is related to when we mount / to our volume.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
So here we could also do then volume/tmp semicolon/tmp.
No.
No, we cannot do that. Okay, so it's arbitrary and it is going to place it. We need to find
Itself.
itself.
Docker
Okay,
itself
good.
will be
Now it's clear.
replace it with anonymous one, but if you can specify any volume, you can do that.
Okay, yeah.
/v /tmp and
In the command.
yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted to say something?
Perfect.
What's the hardest one?
Yes.
I always mess up on this one. I lost all of my downloads.
So, how much time? Yes. You can specify user. Of course, we talk about it. You can specify arguments. We set even after from, before from. This is the only directory we can use before from. You can have health check in your container with the interval, timeout, start period, retries, and yeah, you will say which command you want to use for health check.
Question, I just checked some exit code, right?
Exit code?
On status code of the command.
Yes. So I didn't.
So for example, if I just say as the command for a health check, exit 1, it will never succeed.
Ah. I didn't check it. Check exit one. Maybe it exits and retry. I don't know.
I'll read into it.
Yeah, we have shell. You can specify which shell you want to use, but this shell is different from what you use usually with Docker exec. Okay, this shell is related to run. For example, if I do ls/ls/tmp in run, I didn't specify any shell, but with the shell directive, you can do that. You can use bash, sh, z shell, car shell, or any other shells. This ls-l would be executed on that shell, on that environment. We have cmd to execute commands and entry point. Okay. And these directives executed when you want to run your image, not during building. After building, you want to run your image, this CMD or entry point will be executed. But what is the difference between CMD and entry point? Tell me. Good question.
Well done, Paulo. Good job. I'm proud of you.
So, if you use
CMD and entry point.
yes,
It like the
If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
CMD is command line command. Okay, that let's say you run it on your command line, but an entry point, you can specify an entry point. Let me remember this. You can specify an entry
it
point
related
that
to the shell that it's going to be the shell that common or fruit created for the comments immediately after.
no, an entry point I think is a script or a file.
No.
No.
It can be, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you specify entry point and CMD together, CMD would be the argument of your entry point. Okay. So if I create this, if I build this image and if I run it, the output would be ls-l because the entry point is ls and CMD is -l. So if I have both of entry point and CMD, CMD would be an argument of the entry point. But if I remove one of them, then I should write it like this, not actually like this, but I mean, yes,
Good man.
like this. No. Yes. CMD ls-. And yes, it will do the same. Or with entry point. It doesn't really matter.
So it only matters when you combine them.
Yes.
Stupid.
If we want to run multiple commands, like here in the entry point, how the syntax should be. should be a list of lists.
We usually, yes, but we usually use a script to do that. What?
SH script, you mean?
So,
.sh.
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
That is without,
if we want to do it here,
if you can do it.
so let's say an ls and then an echo of Hussein. ls. You do it like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Or-
just with
Semicolon or
a Greek question mark. Yes,
What is a Greek question?
What the fuck?
yes, this is a Greek question mark.
What is the Greek
I've
question
never
mark?
heard of this.
What?
semicolon.
A semicolon.
Semicolon is a Greek question
The
mark.
semicolon is the two dots.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
not the two dots. It's like a comma. Is like
Yes, okay, then this is a Greek question.
No, it is a Greek. What the fuck?
Yes.
Yeah, when I was in university, we made a joke like changing the language and put that question mark. And it fails.
Wait, what's a Greek question mark?
Semicolon.
Yes. Exactly.
Then how do we call the double dots?
Dots.
Colon.
Column, okay.
Because semi is
Colon
just
is
semi.
the
It's
Yes,
not
yes.
completely semi. It's somewhat weird.
You Greek should know this.
Yes.
Yes, or like this.
So this will run ls.
Yes, okay.
But that's just bash or POSIX shell stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can also just use Python for it.
What do you mean?
You can run Python here instead of shell.
You can run Python as Python and then script, you mean? Or you can run Python
For
in
example.
your
I think you can also do Python -c and then
and then,
your whole script
okay.
in
Mhm.
one line.
Okay, okay,
If you're really,
Bash, that's
if you like living on the edge.
okay.
or you can just use it like a string. But the point is, if you do this way, the container doesn't get the signals from Linux. The Linux can send signals to your container for terminate it, to pause it, to restart it, or anything. But if you do that, it doesn't get any signals,
Mm-hmm.
and it should be on the what I wrote before, on this structure.
Okay.
Yes, this is the one point, and as I also told you, the CMD. And another point, if you use bash here, and for example, you want to run your image and you want to exec into your image. If you do something like this, it wouldn't work because bash here would be replaced by the CMD, but you use entry point. Okay, you use entry point, but here it would be a replace for CMD. So it really doesn't matter. If you want to get a shell or bash, you should specify the entry point is bash.
So if you use entry point in your Dockerfile
Mhm.
and you use it when you use Docker exec, you can only specify the arguments.
Yeah.
In that.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, okay. That's bad, Hussein. Also, if you do bin bus,
No. You can do cool stuff with this.
if you do bin bus instead of bus,
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
Yes, that's another point. And
Well,
yes, it's
if you have a user where you don't have bash in your path, then it would matter.
Yes. So what
That's
you,
not
so
normal.
what you can do, you can specify every time in the entry point bus. So the people that do not know this, they will not be able to exec the container. Yes.
It's a container. It's supposed to be replicatable.
Yes, but they are going to learn something new then.
Good for that.
okay. In order to write a really good Docker file, we need to bear in some points in our mind. One of them is I told this before, but I want to mention each line in your Docker file is a new layer.
A new layer.
A new layer.
So we need to have a lot of lines.
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of lines means
A lot of layers.
less performance.
Less performance. That's
Yes.
good, Hussein.
We want to achieve less performance. Yes, that's good.
Really, line matters in Dockerfile.
Yes,
Yes.
Paolo.
So
Don't say
I knew it.
Because we learned it in the first session of Docker.
Yes,
we
Paolo.
didn't talk about
If
Docker.
only you were there.
Yes.
I
indeed.
was there. I was
But-
on every single
But
session.
if you have everything on a new line, it's more readable, I think.
more readable.
Yes, at least for people that are not very experienced
We
with.
don't care that much about readable.
What do you mean? We do care. Because
He's not a software engineer.
But you should.
for me that
We
I'm
care as much as we can. We combine comments. For
Mhm.
example, we don't do ls-l in one line
Mhm.
and the other line ls// blah blah blah. We do it together because it should be. We do something like this. Have something.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can also do this on multiple lines if you use a backslash at the end of the first
Yes.
command.
But wait a minute.
Okay. That's
New
what-
layers are only the run commands?
No.
Every line. Okay.
Every Docker thingy you use, your Dockerfile, just the first word in a sentence.
Mm-hmm. It's a new layer.
That costs money.
Okay. Doesn't cost
But
money.
that's the reason why you put
I
everything
mean, it
together.
does.
Because it's in fact not real. That's
Uh,
it's a bit the way of you want. If you want to have a readable file for everyone, and of course, as in Kotlin, you can also make so dirty things. But is it good? No.
Yes.
it is good
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
in case you do it really in a good way. For example, we use backslash.
Yes.
Right.
You can have it somewhat managed.
Yes.
Yes.
The oven is ready.
Yes.
Or again, with another backslash, you can do this. It's more readable like this one. So we achieve the readable point here. Yes, more lines, more layer. So we don't want it. Another point related to Dockerfile is we just don't want useless files in our Dockerfile. For example, if you build something and you don't need any more the dependencies, it shouldn't be existing in your Dockerfile. So for some applications like or languages like Go, PHP, Java, you build something, it has some dependency, but you don't need those dependency when you want to run it because it's compiled. So we have multi-stage stages Dockerfile. The first stage would be builder, and on the second stage, you will get the compiled application and use it in another image. It would reduce the size of the container, the image, and it's good because you reduce the attack surfaces. More files, more libraries, more ports, big images, you actually are increasing the attack surface. Yes. So I think you have some question in your mind and you're
Yes,
thinking about
I don't understand how you can do that. Because maybe in Python you do not compile stuff.
in Python. No, you
No.
cannot do that.
Yes. But how would
It's
it
a
be?
number of-
How would it be in another?
Yes.
So basically, you have this file, the builder, that you have the dependencies.
This is a builder. I have a Alpine image as a base image. I
Mhm.
copy some Go code
Mhm,
and I build it,
mhm.
and in another image, in the same Docker file,
Okay.
I copy from builder opt/source test, which is the compiled application,
Mhm.
to this image in this working directory, and just simply I run this command.
Mhm. So first
So
you compile it in the builder,
yes,
and then you run it in another image.
yes, and the final image would be the final from in your
Mhm.
Docker file.
You see, this is why Python is better. You do everything at once.
Why do you do it like that? So because the build only unless nothing changes in whatever working directory, the first part is never rerun again.
The first part from the builder, you mean?
Yeah, you do that
But
because
when you, let's say, you build the image, basically you run a Docker build for the whole image. This image is divided in different stages. Clemens just said that the builder part will not be rerun again. Based on the cache stuff of the image, it will not be run again.
when you build the image,
Mhm.
all the part in the Docker file will be executed.
Mhm.
When you run, the last part in your Docker file, which is from Alpine as a starter,
Mhm.
would be executed.
Because the others didn't change the hash.
Exactly.
No, it only includes the last part,
Oh, just the last part.
just the last part.
And that's the point of a multi-stage build. So you just do it because the first parts are only executed when you build the image, but you run it only the last one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why we do that? Because in the first part, there is only dependencies and the stuff you don't want it.
Okay,
And
so
if you have-
basic.
If you have 4 stages,
You can do
is
it.
there the same image used, or is in every stage is a new image created? Image and a new container.
So again,
Uh,
if you have 4 from,
Yeah.
it would be the last from would be your last image.
yeah, but is it a clean one?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's in every from there is a fresh image.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You just get a new Linux installation every
Okay,
time you
so
do.
basically when you build, you will build everything.
Okay.
But when you run, you will just run the last from.
The last from, because it's just built like that.
Okay.
Sometimes we use this feature to make everything general. For example, we use a JFrog command in our company, and the version of JFrog command is 1.28. Okay, we use a Docker file for this JFrog command, and we have a from for this JFrog command. The image name is JFrog, and we use it as a base. So in our Nginx base image, we can copy dash from builder or from base, and the path to the I don't know, to the command to the JFrog. We just copy it here, and with this you can simply manage the version of the JFrog you are using in the. If you update the first image, everything would be updated.
Don't remember the use case, but in Alta actually we had a multi-stage Docker.
Yeah.
I have a user case. At a previous company, we used Rust. In Rust is a compiled language, so whenever they build, it pulls a bunch of dependencies.
We kneel.
And whenever you say from, all those dependencies would be gone because you don't need them anymore. You
Yes.
just need the single binary you're gonna run in the end, and then you just say.
For that case, I suggested something to Walter Group, and it is accepted, and now we are using it, and it's highly beneficial. This is related to BuildKit. Well, since BuildKit is adapted to Docker, it's a new builder. BuildKit is a new builder. Before BuildKit, Docker was using its own builder to build images. But with BuildKit, you have more options, you have more features, and you can attach a volume as a cache to your container. You build anything you want, and if there is anything new, it will be saved in the volume. And for the next container, it's the same. For the next, it's the same. If there are 1,000 container building at the same time, it's the same. You are using just one volume as a cache, or I don't know, for Java, for everything. And yes, it
So
is-
only when your dependencies get updated, you need to
yes,
fetch them again.
yes.
That's good.
And yeah,
Good.
at this point, you don't need anymore that a specific thing you mentioned.
But is it built in Docker?
Yes, if
So
you
still do
if-
Docker build or you
yeah,
run?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If nowadays if you install Docker again,
Mhm.
it will be updated.
Okay.
I have it. You probably seen it here that if I run Docker build, it's different from what you yeah. See, the logs are different.
Mhm.
We have quite a big issue.
What's the issue?
We need to order pizza.
In that's the last.
Like toothpaste.
Norwin is speaking.
Norvin,
Yes.
you promised you are going to bring chips today. You didn't even.
Show up.
Yes.
What is this?
Oh, Norvin.
And
I
the
got another
comment
one.
Dockerfile would be like something like this. -- mount in run. -- mount type cache target in which directory you want to use this cache, and yeah, after that you can execute Java build or something, or npm CI or anything.
Mhm.
That's one point which was important to say in this session. And I hope you all enjoyed it. This is the last session of our Docker
No.
journey. It's finished. You can ask,
What are we going to do now? Say.
Yes.
you can ask your question in 1 minute, because after that I won't anymore. But yes, after these after this session,